Your Throne of Eldraine set preview had 1,000 views.
Yeah, it did. Well, we're live now, so that's how we start this preview. What a way to start.
My bad.
Talking about how many views we had on the last set preview. Well, welcome to Dark Confidant 21's, I was going to say Throne of Eldraine, Ikoria set preview. I am Marshall, aka Dark Confidant 21, and this is Scott, aka
Turner 512. What
Turner.
up, people?
Hit him up on Arena if you've got
That's
it.
right.
Let him know. Love him. He needs some loving. That sounds weird when I say it like that.
It does.
But
yeah.
But you know what? It's okay. It's whatever. So, Scott, we're not gonna waste anyone's time here, right? We're getting down to business because we have like 50 cards that we want to cover. But just a quick, I'm just gonna lay it out for you. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna show one card at a time. Not all the cards. We're gonna look at, like I said, 50 cards, and we're gonna go in Wooburg order. So white through green, and then we're gonna look at multicolor cards, and we're just kind of throwing the card out there. Every card on this list was either picked by me or Scott or both of us. We wanted to talk about it, kind of feel what's out there, and we would love to hear what you think about each card we talk about. You can say that in the comment section as well. But anything I missed, Scott? Anything we need to let the people out there know?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited to talk about a new set. This one's a fun one.
It is. It is a fun one. Lots of big monsters. That's the theme, right? Behemoth monsters. You can see some of the artwork behind us there on the stream. So we're gonna start it off. We're gonna kick this off. But our first card, actually not a big monster. So our first card is Drannith Magistrate. Am I saying that right? Would you say that a different way?
No, I would not.
Okay. I'm not ever going to call this Drannith when I play it. I'm going to call it Doctor Strange. That's what I'm going to call it because he's doing the whole Doctor Strange thing.
That is Doctor Strange stuff.
This is definitely Doctor Strange, right? Like that's where they got this from. Anyway, so this card, it is a human wizard, and a white for 1/3, and it's got some interesting text. It says your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. Okay, so I picked this card. Scott, I didn't know if you would have picked this card as well. Would this have been on your list?
Yeah, I think it would have.
Yeah, because it's an interesting card. This is a hate card, right? This is probably like a sideboard card. I don't know if we're in a world where you'd play this in the main board, but with cards like Draxus or is that the red black Titan? Is that
Kroxa?
Kroxa. I don't know. Kroxa, and then you have the Uro. Yeah. Those
the Greek sandwich.
Yeah. when those are in your graveyard and Doctor Strange is out on the battlefield, you can't escape those. They cannot be played from the graveyard because they're not in their hand. So,
are there any mechanics in Ikoria that this directly affects?
Let's think. The big one is mutate, and there's counters and cycling. I don't know if this. I can't think of anything. I could be missing something.
What about companion?
Ooh, okay. I did miss something. Companion, because companion cards, you can only have one of them in your deck, and it's not even in your physical library. It sits outside of it. Do I have this correct? I believe that's how the mechanic works.
I don't know.
I believe that's how it works. It's not in your library. It's in your sideboard. And then at the beginning of the game,
I think you're wrong. I think you're allowed to play up to 4 in your deck. You can just play one in your sideboard, and it's your designated companion.
You only get to play a companion. Wait. Are you saying that if you use companion, we should know this. I thought we look amateurish right now. Not that we already did.
I was expecting you to know this, Marshall.
I'm pretty sure you only get to have now we have to Google it. Now this is
Yeah,
embarrassing.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
pretty
googling it.
sure that the companion card is not in your 60 card deck. It's in your sideboard, and you can only play it once in the game, and it's played from the sideboard. Scott's on
Uh,
this.
I have just seen lists on like MTG Goldfish where people are playing like three of in their board. Um,
In their sideboard.
so I think where you're getting wrong is you can have up to one chosen companion each game is what it says.
Okay, so whichever
That
one is
chosen
the
companion does not start in your main deck. So
okay,
there's a companion that is your designated one in your sideboard. But you
and
can play others in your main deck.
okay, but they don't. The companion text on them doesn't say anything, basically.
That's exactly right. They're the only one that you can cast once per game from your sideboard is the one that's designated.
And your deck has to be made to the restrictions of the companion.
I believe so. And now I've seen people building lists where the companion cards that are in their deck, those restrictions are not being adhered to, but I believe that's because it's not the designated companion of their deck.
Okay, so that's how companion works. We're going with that. But if you have this card in play, you can't play your companion.
Yes, and a very roundabout. Yes, finally black to Doctor Strange. You cannot play that card.
That seems really, really not good enough to play this card because you can only play that companion once.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I'm interested in it. But something quick to mention. I think this does have a lot of eternal play in mind. There are a lot of things
Yes.
you can do in Modern and Legacy with casting things from exile, casting things from graveyards. So
Yeah.
I think it could be an eternal playable. But
Sure.
yeah, in
All right.
standard, little iffy.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the next card. Next card here is Fight as One. I put this card in. It is a really interesting combat trick. Very cheap. You can choose one or both. Target human creature you control gets +1/+1 and indestructible, or target non-human gets the same thing. Right? So you can do that to both. So you can. Here's why I like this card. Here's why I like this card. This may not seem like a super impactful card, but if I think this card could be the reason why we would see a deck like the old blue-white heroic deck back in first Theros. We might see something like that come around again because there are several cards in Theros Beyond Death where you have those like heroic-like triggers where they pump your whole team and that kind of thing. And then you have that blue-white enchantment that lets you draw cards every time you connect with it.
Daggering Insight.
Yeah, this gives you that staying power where like you have this is a really great trick against spot removal for that deck, and that's what made that blue-white heroic deck back in the day so good. Is that it was like you had to like use spot removal 3 or 4 times on a creature before you might get it because they just had so much protection. And so that's why I thought this card might see some play, is because if that deck becomes a thing, this would fit right into that.
And totally worth noting, there's some very good black destroy target creature spells in this set, as well as red damage spells. So this and really in any creature deck, if you're trying to fight through removal, could be very good.
Yeah. All right. So anything else, or we're just going to move on to the next one here?
Let's move on.
All right. Next one, Imposing Vantasaur. Now, Scott, I put this one in the list. I don't know if you cared anything for this one, but I do want to hear if you think this is a terrible card. Because here's why I put it in the list. This is not for standard. This is not for this is for modern. Now I know we don't like we play arena. That's like basically what we play right now. That's like I don't stream any other Magic. I don't do Magic online. I just do arena. But if you're going to be playing modern, and you're going to be playing, what is that? Oh my goodness! I brought this up and I can't even remember the name of the deck. Where you You cycle away all your creatures, and then you return them all from the graveyard to the battlefield.
Living End.
Living End. I think this is a perfect card for Living End because, like, you don't even like that deck has so many 1-mana cycles, but they're like color specific. This one doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what color it is. Now, a 3/6 Vigilance is not as good as other creatures that are in that deck, but I think because you can pay any mana to cycle with it, I think it's worth having a conversation about it.
Yeah, I could see that. I'll say I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I like where your head's at. I just think all the other creatures that are being cycled in that deck have really relevant text when they either when they're cycled or when they come back to the battlefield.
For sure.
So, but very possible.
I will say one thing about cycling, and this is, I think they pushed cycling in this set. We had cycling not too long ago in, was it Hour of Devastation?
Yeah,
Or was that?
Amonkhet.
It was Amonkhet. Was it the whole block, or was it just one of the? It might have been the whole block.
Maybe, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was
a long time
Amonkhet.
ago.
Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation. It was a few years ago now. But they had cycling, and part of the problem with the cycling was fine in the set, but even in limited, you're like, I don't want to have to pay like 2 or 3 mana to cycle. I really feel like there's a lot more 1 mana cycling in this set, and they're really kind of pushing it. They're like, will you do it? And they also made cycling matters cards. Like, they did a lot of cards that are like, hey, when you cycle, this other thing happens in addition to whatever the card you just played does.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Anyway, this card is not going to blow anyone's socks off. It's just an interesting thought. Next card is Luminous Broodmoth. Luminous Broodmoth, 4 mana. That's 2 white, flying 3/4, and then a ridiculous line of text that says whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So, first of all, by the way, Mel says that he liked the 1 mana cycle cost. Thanks, Mel. I think they're great. But anyway, so this card, like, you just have the ability, if anything without flying dies, you're going to get it back, right? They have to kill it twice. That's crazy. And this is also the first time we've seen these evergreen counters on a card, which is a theme of this set that we're going to see. You're going to see throughout the set. But Scott, what do you think about this card? I mean, this is just a good card, right? This is like...
Yeah, I think Nightmare Shepherd saw a lot of play in Theros Standard most recently. Not tier 1 play, but a lot of arena decks, mono black specifically, running Nightmare Shepherd. Being able to recur your creatures. And for Nightmare Shepherd, they just came back into 1/1s. This, they not only if your creatures die do you get them back, they also come back with flying, so they come back even better with the same power and toughness. I'm very impressed by this card. I think it's really cool, and the Godzilla promo is also really awesome.
Yeah. Mel said this card goes infinite. I wonder, Mel, are you trying to say that when a card goes to the graveyard a second time, it would trigger again? Because I don't know if that's how that works. My assumption was that when it dies with the flying counter, it had flying, and so it wouldn't return.
I think maybe he's saying there's a combo specifically.
Oh, well, I would love to hear about this combo. I would love to hear about this combo. All right, are we ready for the next card?
Let's move.
All right, Mythos of Snapdax. So this is a part of a 5-card cycle. Each Mythos corresponds with the legendary creature of that 3-color combo. So, for instance, this one is a white card, but it has an alternate cost where you can also pay black and red, which would make it Mardu. And Snapdax is the Mardu legendary creature. Are we calling that cycle anything other than they're mutate creatures? They're mythic legendary mutate creatures.
I think calling it Mardu is fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just mean like the what are we calling that cycle of of legendary mythic mutate creatures? Because that's a
Yeah, I don't know.
mouthful. That's a mouthful, and I don't want to have to say that every time. Anyway, um, so he says, just to kind of go back to, if you have something like Solemnity, it would go infinite because it can't get flying counter, so it would have a second outlet. I don't understand that. Do you understand that?
Yeah, Solemnity wouldn't let the flyer counter go on. So if you had a sack outlet, Viscera Seer, etc., it would just go infinite. Like every time the creature came back, it couldn't get the
Yep.
flying counter because of Solemnity. So if you had anything that
So
would benefit
it
recurring,
would return, but then when it would try to add the counter, it wouldn't.
yes,
Oh my goodness, that's modern though, right? That's not a
yeah, yeah,
okay, yeah. Um, anyway,
or EDH, of course.
yes, yeah. So Mythos of Snapdack says each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. So we've seen this effect before. This is nothing new, right? But if you also pay black and red when you cast this, so you would be paying black, red, white, white. Then you choose the permanents for each player instead. That's a powerful effect, right? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Even without the black red effect, it's very strong at clearing a board, making things more manageable. But if you're in a Mardu deck, Tragic Arrogance is what I think of. That
mm-hmm.
was an absolute house back when it was in Standard, and it was 5 mana.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
that was a 5 mana card.
doing this for 4 mana in Mardu is kind of insane. And will absolutely swing games in the direction of the player casting this spell. Really powerful stuff. Really, really scary,
Mm-hmm.
powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did Tragic Arrogance say that you got to pick a planeswalker?
Um, I don't think so, but I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a good card. It may get played, it may not. Because Tragic Arrogance, sometimes it was in favor, sometimes it wasn't. It just
Very
depended
true.
on the meta. So yeah, there you go. Next card is, now we're in blue. So this is Boon of the Wish Giver. This is one I threw in there. And I'll the real short version of what my take on this card is. If this was an instant, I think it's a no-brainer in control decks. Because it is a sorcery, there's really a lot to think about. But the reason why it's still playable is because it has cycle for one. Because there's sometimes, like when you're playing control deck late in the game, 6 mana, draw 4 cards. Wow, you probably just won, right? Like you probably just won the game. But early on, if you're like, well, I need to hit my land drops, cycle for one at the end of a turn, like that's fine too. Gives you some versatility. Anything else you want to add to this, Scott?
Nope, think you hit everything.
All right. So again, this may not ever be played in standard, but maybe.
Cycle 1 is very powerful.
Yeah. All right. Next card is Mythos of Eluna. Is that how we're saying that one? Eluna.
That sounds good with me.
Okay. So this is our Teamer Mythos card. Create a token that's a copy of target permanent. If you pay red and green, when you cast it, instead create a token that's a copy of that permanent, except the token has, when this permanent enters the battlefield, it's a creature. If it's a creature, fight up to one target creature you don't control. So you can pay, if you have Teamer, you can create a copy of a creature and then have it fight for 4 mana. That seems pretty good, but not that. I mean, not like amazing, like because this doesn't really do anything for you if you don't have anything on the board.
Well, what I really like about it is that it's copy.
Any permanent.
It's create a token that's a copy of target permanent, so
it could be theirs.
You don't have to do. It can definitely be theirs, but you don't have to do creature. But if it is a creature, you can copy something that's huge of theirs. You can spend 4 mana to not only get their 8 mana creature, but also have your 8 mana creature kill their 8 mana creature.
That's
and
true.
then, so it can do big swings like that. But I like that it's versatile. I really see this more of as a sideboard role in a Teamer deck. Unless the meta is just really big and mid-rangey, which Ikoria certainly could provide. something like this is probably much more sideboardable. But I would absolutely love to cast this card for Teamer and just hurt somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's a removal spell and a copy effect in one. It's kind of wild, really powerful stuff.
yeah. It has a lot of versatility. It does. But we'll see. It to me it could be a win more card, or it could be a.
Yeah,
It's either to me it feels like a win more card or a removal spell.
yeah,
I don't,
you certainly could be right.
but we'll see. Who knows? I don't know about this one. Um, I can't remember the other ones, but this may be my least favorite one. I don't know.
I
All
don't
right.
know if Mil Kennedy was talking about that, but he said I don't think it'll be played.
I think he was
So.
probably talking about the 6-mana sorcery where you draw 4 cards.
Well, yeah, he's probably right about that too.
Yeah. All right. Neutralize is 1 blue instant counter target spell, which is basically our standard counter spell in like at this point. Like that is if you want a counter spell in standard, that's what you have to pay. You have to pay 1 blue. But you can also just cycle this for 2, which to me makes this, for my money, the best counterspell in standard. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I think you're right. I mean, late game in a blue deck, being able to cycle away your counter spells is probably good EV, especially if you're facing an opponent, red for instance, that does not really care about your counter spells.
Yeah.
They have a lot of plays before and after whatever you want to counter. So being able to cycle to dig for answers is very strong. I get divination vibes from this, because cycling is a lot like scrying. Obviously, you're not getting the cycle effect on the counter, but it just seems pretty versatile.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. Absorb is good right now because like especially if you're playing against if red's big in the meta, but if you're not playing against a red deck, that life is almost irrelevant. Like it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, so that's neutralize. Next up we have Sea Dasher Octopus. This is our first mutate card that we're looking at. It is 1 blue for a 2/2 with flash. Or you can pay its mutate cost, which is 1 and a blue, and you can mutate, if I'm correct, at instant speed with this card, right? Because it has flash.
Yeah.
And then whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this card, this is like, this might be the only mutate card that doesn't have a mutate trigger. I can't think of another one. But this one is really interesting because you can, after blockers are declared but before damage, flash this in, mutate it on a creature that's not being blocked, and draw a card. Or you could just flash it in at the end of their turn for a 2/2. And then get in. Maybe they don't have. Maybe they swung, and then you get in on an open board. I don't know. I think this card could very easily be played in green-blue flash. It could be played in blue-black flash. It's not. This isn't like the kind of card where you play this and you win the game. This is just kind of a great tempo card.
Yeah, I agree with everything you have to say. I think that this card is awesome and so good. I've already seen a lot of lists, the flash lists especially with this. People really like this card. I mean, we learned from Curious Obsession that, an enchantment that when a creature deals damage draws you a card is insanely strong on flyers and creatures with unblocking or unblockable. So I think this card is going to see a ton of play. And I think it's going to see a ton of play in pretty much any creature deck that's blue. I've seen blue-white flyers lists that are running this. I would really like to see a blue-white, maybe flyers, maybe just blue-white tempo playing Staggering Insight also. So I think the sky's the limit with this card. It's going to do a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a pretty exciting card. So, ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right. Shark Typhoon, aka Sharknado. But I mean, it's a typhoon and not a tornado. I think they made like the 5th one was about that. No, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen any of those movies. But this card is an enchantment. for 6, which already sounds awful, right? That sounds like a terrible card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. So you play this for 6 and nothing happens. How does that sound, Scott?
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
But you can cycle it for X1 blue. And when you cycle it, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. So at the end of their turn, you could cycle this and make like a 4/4 flying shark, and you get to draw a card. I think
it's weird that you want to make a 4/4 flying shark for the exact same amount of mana that you could just cast the enchantment for. But you're probably right. That might just be better than casting the card.
I mean, you pay 6 mana and you get nothing for it, or you pay 6
yeah.
mana and instant speed and get a 4/4 flyer, and you draw a card.
Like, no, and I think a 4 mana 2/2 flyer that draws a card is like really playable and just blue tempo decks. Like,
yeah.
So I like the card for fun, really. But if you can get up to 6 mana, land this, and start casting stuff, like, God bless you, sir.
Oh,
well done.
I mean, this could be a control deck finisher. Like, I mean, for real though, like this.
Mel Kennedy says favorite card in the set, and I don't blame him. This card is awesome.
It is a great. Like seriously, this is a finisher that you don't mind playing 4 of in a control deck.
No, you're absolutely right.
Because you're like, yeah, I can just cycle it, and at the end of the turn, like this, I think this card's fantastic.
Worst case scenario, you cycle it for 2, you just draw a card, dig for answers, But even better, you can make big dumb sharks and draw a card. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. All right, next card. Voracious Great Shark. Voracious Great Shark.
Card's great.
So this is 5 mana for a 5/4 with flash, which, like, what is Wizards doing with flash these days? It's like, I feel like they can't put enough flash cards. They're like, we got to make them better. And then it has another ability. When it enters the battlefield, you get to counter target artifact or creature spell. So they gave us like a better, not strictly better, but like a 5 mana counter spell on a stick. That's a 5/4. Like what's that? What was that one? The green blue one. That was a 2/2 or a 3/2. You're not helping me out here.
I don't remember its name.
Yeah, it's like a staple in the green blue flash deck. This card is more expensive, but it hits way harder.
But you can play both in the same deck now.
And why wouldn't you? Why would
you? Absolutely would.
Yeah, like I just want to play the Sharknado card, and I want to play this, and I want to play the green blue flash, and I want to play the 3 mana flash mutate, and like that's a deck. That's a deck right there. Like, and then it almost doesn't even matter what else you put in the deck.
Yeah, this card is. We were talking, I think last week, but the green blue flash deck is really the fun police of standard, just countering everything and playing dumb flash creatures to just, it has so much synergy. It's such a powerful deck, but it's also so frustrating to play against.
So
Voracious Great Shark is going to make that deck so much more unfun to play against. They're going to hold up 4 mana with 2 green and play a Frilled Mystic. Thank you, Mel Kennedy.
Yes.
And then follow it up on the next turn with hold up 5 mana with the Voracious Great Shark. It's going to be so maddening.
I'm going to punch my computer when that happens again. I'm gonna be like, I hate this card, but also I'm immediately, the first time I get beat by this deck, I'm gonna go build it myself, and then I'm just gonna like love sitting there holding up mana, just
oh yeah. Just rubbing your hands together, cackling.
It's gonna be like a collected company all over again. Like, you sit there, you ponder, you're like, I don't know, I don't got any plays on 4 mana, pass, and then they're just it's gonna be a blowout. That's how it's gonna work every time, and people are gonna hate it.
Yeah, this card is nuts.
I'm moving your picture because it freaked out on me.
Yeah,
in
sorry,
this
man.
stream.
My internet's been a little choppy lately. It
Uh,
just goes through spurts of silliness.
okay, well we're gonna call that. I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. We're gonna call that good. Okay, next card. We're in black now. Bastion of Remembrance. This is a 3 mana black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. That's the first line of text. Second line of text says, when a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is like that zealot. What was that? Is that even correct? We've seen this effect dozens of times, right? Like it usually says like when you have a creature that's like a 1/1 for 2, and it's like when a creature dies, uh, your opponent loses a life and you gain a life, right? But now it's not on a creature; it's on an enchantment, and you get a creature when you play the enchantment.
Yeah, it might as well be a creature. Like you get a creature by playing the
Yeah,
enchantment, and you get the effect
it is.
even after the creature dies.
Yes, that's why like to me I'm like, okay, this is like this may be. I'm not saying it's the best version because it costs 3. Where usually we've seen this for like 2. But the fact that it sticks around, like it doesn't go away even if that creature dies. And so
Yeah,
I think that's the like that to me that's like, okay, there might be something here. There might be something where you can make this work.
and there's already an Aristocrats deck in Standard, so this already has a home. So if you just retool the Aristocrats deck a little bit, a card like this will absolutely just, you know, take a deck from one tier to the next,
Yeah.
even though that Aristocrats deck is already
It's
the top tier.
it's already good. Yeah. All right, next card, Call of the Death Dweller. So this is I put this in the list. I don't know how you felt about it, Scott. Did you even want to talk about this card? I'll
Uh,
read it.
I think this card's kind of insane.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So, sorcery, 2 and a black. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a death counter or death touch counter on either of them, and then put a menace counter on the other. So, forget about standard. You're not going to play this card in standard. This is probably really bad in standard.
I now I disagree, but
Oh, okay.
finish your thought.
Okay, I'll finish my thought. Death Shadow. If you have a Tarmogoyf and a Death Shadow in your graveyard in Modern, you're getting them both back for 3 mana. And now one of them has Death Touch and the other one has Menace.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's real.
But I would love to hear what you want to say about Standard. I don't know what you. I mean, I'm sure it could be good in Standard, but I don't. I just like the power level to me is greater in Modern.
Again, I'm talking about the Aristocrats deck here. Priest
Okay.
of the Forgotten God, you want to sacrifice 2 creatures to get a ton of effects
Mm-hmm.
just off of one creature. So if you put this in that deck, you're getting your 1-drops back, you're getting your 2-drops back. We're talking about 2-drops that also make other creatures. And so with Priest of the Forgotten God, you're sacking those creatures. You can immediately get them back after you add 2 mana in the later turns. So it just does a whole lot of value in that style deck. Really, any Aristocrat sack deck, especially with this Bastion card, that's the kind of card you're looking for to just make your Aristocrats deck really frustrating to play against.
Yeah.
So I love this in Standard. It might not see main deck play. It definitely wouldn't see sideboard play, but I can definitely see that being a really strong way to recur your Priest of the Forgotten God, even though it has the biggest target on its head.
Yeah, yeah. You could get back your 2 mana Titan, your red black Titan. I still can't remember the name of that card.
Yeah, wow.
We
right.
said it earlier in the stream. Didn't remember.
Croxa and
Croxa.
Hero. Yeah, can you get both? Can you get either one of those with this?
You could get. They don't stay. They would be sacrificed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they had to.
But if you're playing the red black aristocrats, you could get Croxa and you could get Cauldron Familiar.
Yeah. No.
And then you'd immediately sack the Croxa, which if you had anything that cared about when a creature gets sacked, then you're getting tricked. I mean, I don't know. And they're
You
discarding.
kind of just blew my mind. I forgot about Croxa, but yeah, I mean, Croxa does damage when it enters. So if you're just recurring that, you can absolutely just hurt your opponent.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, good call, man.
All right. So next card is uh, Dirge Bat. Am I saying that word right? Do you am I
I, I'm gonna go with yes, because I
okay?
don't know what card you're talking about.
It's uh, anyway. So it's two black bat creature, 3/3 flash flying.
Yeah, Dirge Bat. Yeah.
Dirge Bat. That's I'd play a 4 mana 3/3 flash flying. I'd
Yes.
I'd probably play that already, right? But then you can mutate it for 6 mana. Now, this is one of the rare mutate cards where it actually costs more to mutate it. Normally, it costs the same or less. This is one of the rare exceptions that it costs more to mutate. But when you mutate this creature, destroy a target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Wow. Yes, flash.
Yeah. Again, another instant speed mutate. Yeah. Yeah. Really strong. Maybe very playable in the blue-black flash deck we've kind of been talking about, but
I mean, would you like at this point, Scott? Real question: Would you play blue black flash over green blue flash?
well,
We're
we'll
going to
get there
talk about
later.
more cards. We're going to talk about
We're
more
going to
cards.
talk about more cards, but I think there's a reason to not being able to go turn 4 Frilled Mystic and turn 5 Voracious Great Shark would be very disappointing, but there's some very strong reasons to play blue black flash.
Let's have a serious conversation about how all I want to do is play Sultai Flash.
You're stretching it for me, man. I'm out. There's a lot of double pips in these decks, and I don't no mana base is that good.
You're right. I'm really just kidding. All right, next card that we're gonna look at, Easy Prey. So this is a solid removal spell. It doesn't hit everything, but it's 1 and a black instant. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less, and then you can cycle it for 2. What do you think about this card?
Um, I think at the very least it's a strong sideboard card.
Yeah.
Cards like this that are really niche removal spells are perfect sideboard cards to just hit decks that are playing a lot of small creatures.
Mhm.
Not to mention, there's a companion card in the set that wants every card
Is it
in
3?
your
3 or
every
less?
every creature card to be 2 or 3 or less. So this would be great, but it's even more main boardable because even if you're not hitting those creatures, you're cycling it for 2 and drawing a card. So I don't know if we're going to see a lot of this in main board play, but I like it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but not much to talk about there other than that. So the next card here is Extinction Event. This is 3 and a black sorcery. I put this on there. You might think this is trash, and it might be. You choose odd or even, and you exile each creature with converted mana costs of that chosen value. And 0, of course, is even. So how do you feel about a 50-50 board wipe?
I don't love it. I don't love this card. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's playable. Maybe you purposely build your deck where you're only playing odd or even creatures,
and then you choose the other.
Yeah, where you're trying to get as close to one-sided board wipes as you can. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, in a format with actual sweepers, I don't see this being very good.
I just wanted to talk about it because it was kind of fun.
I can see a world where, there's some really troubling 3 mana cards in like 2 or 3 decks that just creatures specifically that just have to get dealt with. Your Mayhem Devils, stuff like that. Where like you need to get this card off and as many copies off as possible, and maybe in a mono black deck you would be citing this in for that, but really narrow. I don't like it.
Yeah, for sure. Next card, Heartless Act. Isn't this this is what Wizards did with the Mastery Pass? Oh wait, no, hold on. Sorry, there was a meme.
Nice.
Did you see that meme?
No, I did not.
Someone took this card and they replaced the text about the Battle Pass. It was like choose one or both. And then it was like give less gems. Anyway, that's like totally different conversation. Anyway, so Heartless Act is an instant for 1 and a black. Choose one. Destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. So, to me, this card says 2 mana instant, destroy target creature with no counters on it.
Yes.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's possible in this standard that maybe Ikoria does bring a lot of creatures and cards that are adding a lot of counters where maybe this won't be very good. But there will certainly be decks where they won't be doing counter shenanigans, so it'll be very strong. But even outside of standard, though, I mean, this is
It gets better. I think it's better.
I think in modern, in Legacy, this is a Doomblade with no downside. So,
which is incredible.
Maybe not totally playable in modern, with Fatal Push and other 1 mana, passes
Sure.
to exile, but I mean, a Doomblade with no downside is really strong. So,
and just to like to think, are there any decks in modern that like put counters on creatures that are just like oppressive? There's like are you like, oh, I'm just gonna take the counters off?
No, absolutely not.
I didn't think so. All right, so could be a good card, maybe trash. We'll see. Next card.
I think probably more good than trash, but yeah.
Probably, yeah. Mythos of Nethroi. I think I'm saying that correct. Am I saying that?
Thumbs up, man.
Yeah, sounds good to you. All right, instant, 2 and a black, destroy target non-land permanent. If it's a creature, or if green-white was spent to cast this. Sorry, that I don't think I read that right.
Would you like me to explain it to you?
So, hold on. Yeah, go ahead and explain it to me.
This destroys a creature, but if you spend green-white, it'll destroy a non-land permanent.
That's what it is. It's just written kind of strange.
It is written kind of strange because it says destroy target non-land permanent
if
at
it's
the
a
top.
Creature.
So it's really awkward.
Yeah.
I agree. I wish it had been phrased differently. But it's just for black. It's a 3 mana destroy target creature, which is pretty lame. But
well, no, it doesn't even have to be black. It could be like colorless. Purple, black.
Humor me, Marshall.
Okay, sorry.
Humor me. You're saying purple and you're saying I'm wrong? Goodness, come on. For black pips, no green or white in the equation. It's a 3 mana destroy target creature.
Yeah.
Which, hey, could be better than Heartless Act, if a lot of counters are involved.
Mm-hmm.
But for green-white, destroying a permanent, insanely strong, this is going to see it play in any Abzan deck that exists.
Yeah.
I don't know if those decks will exist, but I'd like for them to exist, and this card will go in it.
Yes, absolutely. All right, next card. Zagoth Mamba. 1 black. Just a single black pip for a 1/1 Nightmare Snake. When this creature mutates, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. I'm not saying this card is amazing. I'm just saying if you're going to be playing a lot of mutate cards and you're in black, this is not a bad card to mutate to.
So the idea is here when you mutate onto it, like the text when it says whenever this creature mutates, that makes it sound like it's mutating onto something.
No.
But does that just mean something's mutating onto it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the mutating, I guess it's a mutual thing.
There's not a ton of there might be one other card in the set that doesn't have the mechanic mutate, but still says when this creature mutates. This might be the only one. There might be one other. I could be wrong. But this one definitely is just saying, hey, build mutate around me. Right? But like play me in a mutate deck because whenever you do that you get this bonus of like removal. Like not great removal, but or it can affect attacks, like weakens a creature so you can get in or something.
Yeah. No, it's essentially dead weighting anything, which is also in this set. Dead weight. Really excited to see it come back.
It is in this set. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, I don't think this card will be very playable if there's not a lot of low, aggressively costed mutating, like the 3 mana octopus with flash.
so this could go in the blue black flash deck,
Yeah,
maybe. If
maybe.
we'll see. Okay, next card. We're in red now. Cathartic Reunion. We've seen this card before. It's back. It still does the same things. That's how reprints work. Okay, so it's 1 in red for a sorcery as an additional cost to cast a spell. You discard 2 cards and you draw 3 cards. Scott, anything you want to say?
I would just like to say that this spell is clunky. It's often difficult to cast, but it's very powerful to draw 3 cards, especially when your deck wants to put things in the graveyard. So I think, um, what's the Phoenix? I'm whose name I just forgot. Uh, 4 mana, the blue red Phoenix deck.
Well, there's a legendary creature, right? That goes
Well,
with
no,
that.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Oh,
asking you what the Phoenix is.
Oh, the Phoenix. Let me look it up here. Sorry. The Phoenix's name. Stall for me.
Arclight Phoenix. There it is. I found it.
Oh, you mean the other one, the old one? Yes.
Yeah, Arclight Phoenix. Like
Yeah.
this is a card where if you can take the Arclight Phoenixes out of your hand and you want them to be in your graveyard, this puts them in the graveyard and draws you 3 cards, which is exactly what that deck wants to do.
Yeah.
I think the Arclight Phoenix deck is getting a lot better in this set, and there's a few other cards we're going to talk about. But any black red graveyard deck would also like this. So strong card. We can move on.
All right. Next one we have the new Phoenix. To me, this one is just our old Phoenix, Rekindling Phoenix, but less good. This is Scott. This is how I know I'm not a red mage. When I saw the spoiler for this card, all I could think was, not this again. not this again. I hated it's like Rekindling Phoenix. Like when you're playing Rekindling Phoenix, you're like, yes, I'm the best Magic player around. But when you're playing against Rekindling Phoenix, you're like, why does this card exist? So it is Everquill Phoenix says 2 red Phoenix flying 4/4. Whenever this creature mutates, and it mutates for 3 red, create a red artifact token named Feather with 1 generic mana, sacrifice Feather, return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It's not nearly as good as Rekindling Phoenix, but it is pretty good.
I'd say it's not nearly as good while also being maybe better. Because the Feather is an artifact, you can no longer get rid of Rekindling Phoenix by shocking the token. Now you would have to use a remove target artifact card to get rid of this.
Well, but when this Phoenix returns from the graveyard after sacrificing the Feather, it doesn't make another Feather.
That's a very good point, and it comes back tapped, which is another big drawback.
Yeah.
But I agree, Rekindling Phoenix was so frustrating to play against. It absolutely warped the format. And so if this is another format warping Phoenix, I agree with you. I'm over it. I don't want it here. But very powerful. And, I don't know that there's a Phoenix archetype deck where you could really be abusing the Feather token. There's probably not, but yeah, I'd be sick of another Rekindling Phoenix. So here's to it being worse.
Does Saheeli, is one of its ability to like make a token that's a copy of an artifact or creature?
I think you might be right. I never thought of such things. So
I don't know. That's probably not worth doing, but
yeah.
Anyway, next card. Luca, that is Luca Coppercoat Outcast, because he's wearing a copper coat. Anyway,
good to know.
He's a planeswalker.
I never noticed.
Yeah, I did. That's the first time I noticed too, because that's the first time I've read past the comma. Anyway, legendary planeswalker Luca. It's 5 mana, comes in with 5 loyalty. +1, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exiled this way gain. You may cast this card from exile as long as you control a Luca Planeswalker. Pretty good. -2, exile target creature you control. Then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. Also pretty good. And then ultimate -7. Each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So you win the game, basically. Most of the time, you're going to win the game there.
As long as you have creatures, you win the game.
Yeah. This sounds like a really good planeswalker. All these abilities are good.
Yes.
We talked about, we kind of brewed a little bit, like if you made this deck and you -2, where like you like stop your curve at 3 and then every card above, then like you have creatures that are above 3 but they're like 7s and 8s. So like
yeah.
You exile a 3 and then a 3-drop and then you get an 8-drop in its place. That sounds good to me.
This might be the perfect deck for that red cycle turtle.
Ooh.
Where you just get an 8/8 trample for free, you know?
Oh, I like that. We're going to talk
We'll
about that card.
That later.
I think that's like 2 or 3 cards from now. So, anything else you want to say about this?
The +1 is kind of wild to me. You know, on the second turn you have 6 total cards that you can play with Luca, right?
Yeah. Well, up to 6.
Up to 6. I mean, yeah, that's really crazy.
Oh no, yeah. Oh no, it's any card. Wait.
Yeah.
No. It's just creature cards that are exiled. Sorry. Could be up to.
Okay.
So, it's only creature cards that you can cast from exile.
Yeah, but still, I really like that, especially if you have some really good linchpin creatures. But I really love the brew we made where you just play, all 1, 2, 3-drop creatures and then a 7-drop dragon, 8-drop, 8/8. Yeah. And you just go get it for free. Really, really dumb, silly win con, but just really fun Magic. This card this Planeswalker is kind of hitting the head on everything except removal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very strong.
Yeah, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't really protect itself very well.
No.
But it does come down with 6. And my assumption is you probably will have creatures because you're playing a creature deck. So.
Yeah.
You could just -2 and just get like something better than what you have. You could like swing in, post combat main phase, play Luca, exile the tapped creature, and then get an untapped creature.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So kind of, in a way, it protects itself a little bit. I mean, you could have already protected. Anyway, next card. Yeah.
Let's move on.
All right, Mythos of Vadrak. I don't know how we say this one. Sounds good to you?
Whatever you want, man.
All right, cool. 2 red sorcery, Mythos of Vadrak deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers, not players. If white-blue was spent to cast the spell instead, your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block, and their activated abilities can't be activated. So, this is a 4-mana, 5 damage across creatures and planeswalkers. I'm not playing that. Okay, that's not going to make my list in standard. But if I pay Jeskai with an extra red, I can tap down all your. I can basically like pacify all your creatures and make your planeswalkers not be able to activate for a turn, which you could just win the game that way, like depending on how you build your deck.
I could see this. I don't really see this in the red aggressive deck, but any mid-rangey red deck to Jeskai control deck, I could see this being a strong card. 5 damage divided among any number of creatures and planeswalkers can be a very strong thing. So and paying the Jeskai for it, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's almost a time walk. In a lot of ways, like it's
Kind of,
giving
yeah,
you
yeah.
a whole turn to take a breather, do play some setup, do whatever you want to do for a whole turn, and resume the game a whole other turn later when they're finally able to kind of pick things back up where they left off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah,
I don't know where it'll see play aside from a Jeskai control deck, if such a thing exists, but pretty cool.
yeah. This, to me, this might be the one I'm least excited about.
Yeah,
I I can definitely see some games where like you play this and you win a game that you weren't going to win, right?
yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. If you're not playing, if you're not playing Jeskai, I don't think it's the card you want to be playing, because
I think if you're not playing Jeskai, it's a sideboard card at best.
like I mean, okay, so like if you're let's think about it this way: if you're playing Jeskai, okay, we have a 4-mana board wipe, and that's a lot of times just as good as
Way
this
better.
card. Like,
Way better.
yeah, well, it doesn't deal with planeswalkers like this
Yeah.
one could, but so it's like, yeah, most of the time it's probably better, you know.
Yeah.
Very, yeah. I'm not loving this card. I don't love this card.
No.
Anyway, but
I do like if you're in that weird grindy planeswalker mirror where they have 4 planeswalkers and you think you just lose, you can just shut them down for a whole turn.
yeah,
It's interesting, but yeah,
yeah,
not probably the least exciting mythos.
yeah.
Exciting mythos.
Yeah. All right. Next card is Unpredictable Cyclone. Unpredictable Cyclone, and this card is a wall of text. It is 3 red enchantment. I'm going to read it. Here goes. If a cycling ability of another non-land card, would cause you to draw a card, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a card that shares the same card type with the cycled card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way onto the bottom of your library in a random order. You could also just cycle this for 2. Now, if I'm understanding this card correctly, it is saying I have Unpredictable Cyclone in play. I cycle any non-land card. Instead of drawing a card off the cycle ability, I now just flip cards until I reveal a card that shares types with the cycled card, and I get to cast that for free. Right?
That makes sense.
So I could just play like big dumb creatures with cycle and cycle for 1 and then reveal a dinosaur turtle.
Yeah.
And get to play it for 1 mana.
You very well could.
Saying that,
Definitely a build around card.
This is a build around card with a huge setup.
I see a lot of potential with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, big setup. I mean, 5 mana enchantment that does nothing when it comes down is really stinking bad, but it's better than a 6 mana enchantment that when it comes down, it doesn't do anything. So.
Yeah. I just put this in here because it's like it's got potential to do some weird things, and if
yeah, I could see a dumb Uterus Turtle deck with this in it, and they're playing a lot of instants that draw cards and damage spells, and I don't know, they're
counters,
just going wild.
If you just do like red blue, I'm gonna play counters, and then I'll play this, and then
cycle into.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want to cycle an instant into a counter spell. That'd be really awkward, unless it was in response to a.
Yeah, it's like
okay.
They go like spell, and you go cycle this draw spell, and then like I revealed the counter cycle spell, I don't know.
Yeah. That's wild.
I mean, this is a weird deck, man. But I feel like there's the potential to do some weird stuff. Anyway, that's all I really want to talk about that card. I don't really want to spend more time on that unless you did.
Let's move on.
All right. Next card is Yerdrus or Yerduro, the turtle,
Whatever.
The dinosaur turtle.
It's a big dumb turtle.
It is an 8/8 trample haste. Never thought they'd give a turtle haste, but they did. For 7 mana, legendary creature. That's crazy, right? Like, okay, now you're not going to play a 7 mana 8/8 Trample Haste, right? Like, I don't think you would just play that card. Maybe you would. Like, I don't know. But anyway, you can cycle it for 1 in a red, and then it has a wall of text that says, when you cycle it, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you've cycled a card named Yerdero 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. So, if you can somehow cycle this card 4 times in a game, you get it for free, and you draw a card. Pretty solid. Other than that, you shuffle it into your deck. This is basically like the Nexus of Fate for creatures.
I disagree with that sentiment. Yeah, it's a really goofy card, really silly build around type stuff. I have seen people build lists. Specifically, something that's really exciting about this is Fires of Invention. You play that enchantment on 4, and now you're not casting spells for the rest of the turn or for the rest of the game with mana, and so you have free mana up. So with, if you're playing Yadaro in a Fires of Invention deck, you're essentially going to be cycling this for free whenever you draw it. So there is the potential to just cycle it 4 times throughout the game. The Fires decks are typically drawing a lot of cards, but B, the deck goes really big.
Mm-hmm.
It's playing 5-6 drops, so it also just has the potential to get to 7 and slap down an 8/8 when your opponent least expects it. So it's a deck that's ramping, so it's gonna get to 7 mana. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That might be the home for it.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, next card is in green. This I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this one. Just an interesting card. Barrier Breach. 2 green for an instant. 2 and a green. Sorry, instant exile up to 3 target enchantments, and then it has cycling 2. This is a sideboard card. This is
insane sideboard card.
Yeah.
I've never seen a destroy 3 enchantment card. I've seen destroy all enchantments. Back to Nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a good example, but
yeah. This one also cycles, and it exiles them, not just destroys them. So that's kind of cool.
It's a good point. Yeah. You could easily be playing up against a control deck, and they can Banishing Light this, Glass Casket this. Next thing you know, there's plenty of enchantments just to exile and perhaps get some of your permanents back. So,
yeah. Potentially, maybe playable in Eternal formats. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyway.
I can see such a thing.
Yeah. Next card. Scott's favorite card in the set, Colossification.
Just slam it down. You win the game.
That's
Best card in the set.
Boom.
We should end the stream here.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about any other cards, do we?
That's it. That's the one.
This card's actually trash. But
it's terrible.
Card's absolutely horrible. But if you can figure out how to get this card to not come in tapped, and give the card trample, then it's good.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
If you can do those 2 things on top of paying 7 mana, or not, you could cheat it in somehow. I don't know. It's a bad card, but maybe it could be
hilariously bad. It's hilariously bad.
So bad.
Such a funny card. There's a 2020 cat on the picture. I love it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you are new to Magic or you're trying to get better at Magic, this is a level up moment where you need to realize that giving +20/+20 to something isn't really that good for 7 mana.
Not even close to as good as it sounds.
Because it still doesn't get through a 1/1. This is a skill testing card that they printed. People are going to draft this and lose games in
Absolutely.
Limited. So anyway, I think we're ready to move on. Next card is Gym Razor. If that's how we're going to say this card, I think.
Good with me.
3 and a green for a 4/4 with reach and trample. I think that's okay. Like, I mean, in Limited, you definitely play that. But then you can pay 1 green, so cheaper, to mutate it. And whenever this creature mutates, you destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Rexage called, and it's never going to be played again. That's not true. That's not true because you do have to have another creature to play the mutate onto.
Yeah, and the extra green pip. I mean, Rex Sage is very versatile because you don't need 2 green pips.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
think this card is nuts. In every green deck will be playing this at least in the sideboard.
mm-hmm.
Creature decks.
Yeah, probably. And I think it's about all we need to say about it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
That's it. It's a wildly good card.
All
Gimrazir, you'll see it played.
Yeah. Next card is Kogla the Titanape, aka King Kong, I believe.
King Kong.
It is a 3 green for a legendary creature ape that is a 7/6. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Whenever Kogla attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. And then for 1 and a green, you can return target human you control to its owner's hand, and Kogla gains indestructible until end of turn, which is some nice flavor mechanic there.
Very nice flavor. Yeah.
This is an interesting card. It's got a lot of fun things. It does a lot of good things.
It certainly does a lot. Yeah, I don't think it's playable.
Yeah, it doesn't sound it doesn't sound super playable to me. Mainly because of the 3 green pips.
Yeah.
You do get a huge creature that comes down and fights something, and that's good. That's a good thing. But once it's down, it doesn't get through. Like, it doesn't have trample or anything like that. Returning a human to your hand sounds really corner case. I mean, it probably wouldn't be hard to build a deck that way, but it just doesn't sound like.
Sounds like you're spending 6 mana on a really goofy card.
Yeah. This is a flavor card, but for real, the fight ability is good.
Yeah.
But if your opponent had an artifact or an enchantment and a creature, which is not ridiculous to think they would have both of those things, you could you play this and you just got 3 for 1.
Yeah, very likely.
So
it's gonna take a turn to get that attack trigger, but yeah, very strong.
Oh wait, yeah, it's when it attacks. I think I read it as fights earlier.
Nope.
Never mind.
Nope.
This card's not really that playable. Okay.
It's not great.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna see this in standard, but I don't think I thought we would see Casualties of War, but that card's a lot better than this card.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, next card.
I played Casualties of War 1,000 times over Kogla.
Yeah. Migration Path, 3 and a green. It's a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. It also has Cycle 2. We have this card without Cycle, but it also lets you get Guild Gates right now.
Yeah.
Would you sacrifice getting Guild Gates in order to be able to cycle this card later in the game?
Maybe. I mean, there's, especially in a 1 to 2 color ramp deck, if you're mono green or just green black or something, those Guild Gates don't matter. So being able to cycle would be really strong in that world.
Does this beat out that card? I can't remember the name, but the card we've been talking about. Does it beat it out in the Golos deck in Historic, or do you still play that?
Circuitous
route. Yeah.
Circuitous route, whatever.
Yeah. So
no, I really don't think it does, because
you need the Guild Gates in that deck.
Yeah, you need the Guild Gates to get 5 colors for Golos. So no, definitely not.
But in a 2 color standard deck, this is probably better.
Yeah, and I think we're probably gonna see more play from this in the future. What really works against this right now is we have cards like Gross Spiral, cards like Euro Titan, cards like Cavalier of Thorns. Green is chock full of solid ramp plays.
Yeah.
If you need a 4 mana sorcery to get two basics that bad, I have the feeling that you're losing out on deck building in a few places.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think better things are being done for a heck of a lot cheaper.
Yeah. All right. Next card is Mythos of Brokos, and I am not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Again,
I thought it was Mythos of Brocode.
oh, probably Brocode.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's 2 green sorcery, but if you pay blue black to cast a spell, search your library for a card. Put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. New line of text. Return up to 2 permanents from your graveyard to your hand. So, if you pay 2 green, you get to return 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. If you pay Soul Tie with an extra green, you get to search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, and then return 2 cards that are permanents from your graveyard to your hand.
Marshall, I think this card is terrible. It's way worse than the red one, and I'm embarrassed that it's on the list.
Oh, man.
Embarrassed.
Wow. What if it... Let me ask you this. Now, I know we could play the what if game all day. What if it didn't say permanent card? What if it was just any card? Is it busted? Is it then, like, just a stupid card?
Because it would be like a 4 mana... It'd be a 4 mana get something out of your deck and something out of your graveyard?
Yeah.
Could be.
But you could get an instant. You get a sorcery.
Yeah. You know, if you can't get an ultimatum with this, I don't want to talk about it, you know? Like...
So, you think this is the worst Mythos so far?
I really do, man.
It might be. It might be.
Those regrowth effects are so bad, and even doubling the mana cost of regrowth to get it twice, and maybe you get something out of your library. It's just like creatures and permanents, enchantments, planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Like, you're taking a whole turn off to do nothing.
It's because it's a sorcery. It's because you like it just it's so much.
You're taking a turn off to play this? What are you doing?
Yeah. This is a bad card. It's probably will never be played. But we could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right.
Could be wrong.
Next card. Vivian, Monsters Advocate. First time I've read past the comma. All right. So, Legendary Planeswalker Vivian. It is 3 green. It only has 3 loyalty when it comes into play, and it has 2 stagnant abilities. 2 stagnant abilities. First one says, look at the top card of your library at any time. Decent ability, not worth a card, right? Not worth a card. Second line, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Very strong ability, worth a card, right?
Yes.
If it
was a 5 mana enchantment doing that, no thanks.
You're not playing that, right? So if this is all the Planeswalker did at this point, you wouldn't play this card. Now, pass for sure. But +1, so it comes in for 3, you plus it 1, it's up to 4. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token, and you put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter onto that 3/3 beast. Now we're talking. You mean like, and you get your like the fact that you get to choose, like, because there's gonna be some games where you're like, I want vigilance, and there's some games you want, I need reach, and some games where you're like, I'm just gonna pound face and get trample, right?
Yeah.
It's your choice, right? And then
if this said your opponent chose, I'd probably be off it, but you choose. The choice is yours, Captain Planet. All right.
He's a hero. Anyway, so then there's -2. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost and put that onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This is like the reverse of Luca in a way. But Luca, you had to exile the one and then you like ramp into the next one. This one, you get the one you cast plus one that costs less. You're getting 2 So, yeah, this is a good card. And you're casting cards off the top of your library.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, it basically draws cards without having to do any ability because of that stagnant ability.
Yeah, yeah. What at 5 mana, I'm expecting you to play this at 5 mana and kind of have a light hand.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in a green creature deck. You're going to be playing things on curve, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops. Hopefully, you're not getting to turn 5 and having not casted a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty bad. So getting to 5 mana and having a pretty empty hand, having the stagnant ability of looking at the top of your library is really huge for this card. I think that makes it so strong. But you play it on 5, you get a 3/3 with whatever ability you want of the 3, which is so strong in my opinion.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out. Oh. All right, Scott's cutting out for a little bit. So it's
out of
Scott. Scott, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. All right.
Okay, I'm so sorry. My internet does really silly things sometimes.
It's okay. It is okay. We are
Briefly finishing my point. You go to turn 6 with this card. You cast a 6-drop, if you're lucky, and you're getting a 5-drop for free. This card is kind of wild.
Yes, it is kind of wild. And I'm trying to fix your video again. Your audio is ahead of your, like in the picture you're still talking, even though you're not. Okay. So you might be behind for a while, but we can hear you, so that's good. So next card, Vivian's Insane. Which one's better, Vivian or Luca? I just kind of want your take on it.
I probably, as somebody who leans on playing green cards, I like Vivian more.
Mm-hmm.
However, just the pure draw ability of Luca seems really strong. But I don't know.
They both have lots of draw power.
Oh
right?
yeah.
In the -2 of Vivian is like drawing another creature and playing it for free. And
yeah.
Then you also get to play off the top. That's pretty good too. They're both very strong. Narset, on the other hand, we're not even going to talk about because it's so bad. So, next card, we're now moving into gold. Back for more. This is 4 black-green instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And when you do, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And if I need to repeat this again, it is an instant. That's insane to me. I don't know if you think that's insane like I do.
No, I do. 6 mana is a bit much.
Sure.
But we've already talked about 6 mana destroy target creature cards today, so maybe it's on par with the set. But yeah, a reanimator spell that fights for 6 mana is pretty wild, and I think there's going to be some green-black graveyard decks. So this seems really strong.
Yeah. I like it. If it were a sorcery, I don't know. You'd probably still play it, right? But the instant, just getting someone at instant speed is always fun.
Yeah, they swing in, and you get a creature, kill something, absolutely blow them out.
Yeah.
3 for 1, 6 for 1, 12 for 1. Wow. It's a good card.
12 for 1. You heard it here first. All right, next card. Bro Code, Apex of Forever, which is just the coolest name, right? Apex of Forever. 2 and Sultai, black, green, blue, for those of you who don't know. It is a 6/6 trample that you can pay 2 a blue-black hybrid green-green to mutate it, and then when you cast, or you may cast this from your graveyard using its mutate ability. So you just cast it as a 5 mana 6/6 trample, which solid card, not amazing, but a solid card, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say above solid. That's above solid, right?
Yeah.
But then, when it's in your graveyard, you can cast for mutate cost. Pretty good. This card, I think we said this earlier, this one does not have a mutate ability.
Yeah. Its mutate ability is you get to cast it from the graveyard.
Right.
which is
And
pretty cool.
yeah, but pretty solid card. That's a classic Sultai ability to be able to interact with the graveyard like that. Anything that's it's a pretty basic card for being a mythic legendary creature. It's not super flashy. Like it does one thing.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be very playable, but it's got some strong text on it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's very fringy, but it's cool. Next card, Cheville, Bane of Monsters, for a black-green legendary creature human rogue. Death touch 1/3 at the beginning of your upkeep. If your opponents control no permanents with a bounty counter on them, put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Next line of text. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Scott likes this card.
I like this card, and I'll just give it to you 3 reasons. Reason number 1, Hero of Precinct 1. The 2-drop white creature from one of the Ravnica sets that when you play a multicolor spell, you get a 1/1 human. Cheville is a human, it's multicolor, you play it in that deck, you're getting free 1/1s and a lot of text on a 1/3 death touch. Number 2, it's a human, and I think General Kudro of Dranith, which I think we'll talk about later, is a very good card. So I think a humans deck will be a thing. And like the Mythos we talked about earlier in Abzan, I think there's an Abzan deck out there that wants to be playing probably aggressively. And reason number 3, Rakdos Aristocrats is a deck already in Standard. And being able to force your opponent to choose the creatures they're sacrificing when they really want to be sacrificing a lot of their creatures, choosing which creatures that can attack and choose which creatures can trade, can do a lot to nerf them. Even if they never sacrifice or trade the creature that you put the bounty counter on, you still did a lot to slow them down. Plus, it's a 1/3 with Death Touch. Like, it's going to trade with everything. So, I like the card a lot.
Are you saying you're playing this against a Rakdos deck?
Yes. If you're in a green-black deck and you're not doing the Kudro, Hero of Precinct 1 humans things, if you're just in a green-black deck, I think this is very sideboardable against the Rakdos matchup. But I like it mainboard in the Abzan humans deck.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't really have much to say about it. I think there's a lot to think about in this card. There's just a lot going on.
Most importantly, he's so handsome without his, with his open overcoat and his like bone saw sword looking thing. So cool. His animation on Arena is he comes out of the card with his big old sword standing defiantly. It's awesome. Too much information. Let's move on.
How have you seen this? Or was there a video?
Yeah, there's videos of some of the animations.
I do love a good animation on Arena.
The Arena animations are fun.
Does he have a line of text that he says?
I think it's just a big noise.
Okay. Planeswalkers, when they say stuff, those are some of my favorite things. Because sometimes what they say is really cool, and sometimes what they say is really stupid. Anyway, next card, and we need to kind of speed this up. We don't want to spend too much more time on this. Dire Tactics. White-black, instant, exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to creature's toughness. So this goes into that black-white humans or Abzan humans.
Or Esper humans.
Humans deck, doesn't even have to be a humans deck to play this card, but it's better in a humans deck.
Yeah, I think it's just a very strong removal spell. Mostly in the humans deck, but very strong. 2 mana, exile target creature. You're trading up. It's great.
All right. Next card is Eerie Ultimatum. This goes into every Abzan humans deck. I'm just kidding. So this is white, black, green, sorcery. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. Actually, you might be able to play this in an humans deck. We're talking about every ultimatum because it's a cycle, just like the Mythos, just like the legendary mutate creatures. We're going to talk about all of them, even though they might not all be super playable. They're just kind of flashy and cool. Eerie Ultimatum, what do you think?
I think if you're building a black-green graveyard deck, Abzan graveyard deck, this card is going to be absolutely bananas.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, if you build your deck with the idea of casting Eerie Ultimatum, it'll be good.
It will be absolutely a destructive force. The question is, you gotta build a lot. You gotta stave off of the red decks until you get there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably need to ramp into this a little bit. So you're building a lot of elements into your deck. But as long as you're putting things into your graveyard, and it's probably also going to force your deck to not be playing a ton of 4-ofs. You're really going to be playing a lot of 2 and 3-ofs, 1-ofs, just to get those different names in your graveyard. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you play that and you even just get 4 cards, like it's still worth the 7 mana.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I would take 4 cards. All right.
Yeah.
Next card, Emergent Ultimatum, black, black, green, 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 blue, blue, sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 mono-colored cards with different names and exile them. An opponent chooses one of those cards, shuffle that card into your library. You may cast the other cards without paying their mana cost, and then you exile Emergent Ultimatum. So you're playing this weird game where you go get 3 cards that are monocolored, and you give them to your opponent, and you say, which one of these do you not want me to cast for free? And they pick the best one, they tuck it away, and then you get 2 creatures. So you want to just build a deck with 3 or 4 or 5 like stupid big creatures that probably have some kind of utility where you can go, okay, in this situation I need to get like this one, this one, and this one. They're obviously going to pick the one that affects them the most to not let you cast, which is a downside. And then you exile this. I don't think any of the other ultimatums make you exile it, but it's probably because they think like this is kind of busted. If you could recur it. So what do you think?
I think the fact that they choose is a really big downside, but as long as you have very powerful cards to play, it should be very strong. And they don't have to. You said creatures; they don't have to be creatures. It's monocolored cards. So
Oh
you
yeah,
can
my
be
bad.
playing
Sorry.
big instants and sorceries, big enchantments. I mean, you can be playing the dumb Sharknado card and just putting it on the battlefield. Maybe it's not that exciting when you play it with Emergent Ultimatum, but it really builds up your next turns. So, I think it has a lot of potential. I don't know what the cards are that you're choosing with it, but whatever they are, it's going to be strong. Really clunky deck building though to be putting those really big powerful spells in your deck,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to need to play multiple copies of them because if you draw a couple of them and then play Emergent Ultimatum, you still need to go get those cards from your library. So this deck is going to be very strange, really
Mm-hmm.
big and clunky, but if you can pull this off, it'll probably be very strong.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see what people do with this, but again, it could be one of those cards that everyone's like, "Oh, there's something there," and then it's just never quite there.
Yeah, I think the deck building is going to be the worst
Yeah.
part about this deck or this card.
Yeah. Next card is General Kudro of Dranith. 1 white black legendary creature, human soldier. Other humans you control get +1/+1. Whenever General Kudro, yeah, or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. Then you can pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, and destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, and this is a 3/3. Yeah, seems good. Like seems good just as a 3/3 human that like pumps all your other humans, and then has like some random other corner case abilities. Like
They're very relevant.
They're yeah. I mean like they're not like I mean they're relevant. What I'm saying is like corner case might not have been the right word. What I'm saying is like
It can be.
it's like there's some matchups where it's never going to matter that you exile a card from their graveyard.
For sure.
And there's
For
some
sure.
where it's like, yeah, that's the best part of this card.
Yeah.
And then there's some matchups where you're like, my opponent doesn't even know what a 4 power creature is. And then, and so it's like, it's just these 2 other abilities that like, depending on these situations could be really good.
I'll say, I think this card.
Oh man, Scott cut out again. So I think Scott was going to say that. Oh, there's a poor network connection, but we're reconnecting. So Scott can fill us in.
I'm not talking to anyone.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Scott, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back. Welcome back.
Okay. I'm so sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
You were just about to go into why you like this card.
Okay, card's really powerful. Already has archetypes Abzan and Esper humans. Hero of Precinct 1, making humans, pumping them with this. Insane. But Euro Titan and Croxa
Mm-hmm.
Titan
Yeah,
are huge cards in Standard right now.
very
Blue
huge.
Green archetype is so powerful, so
Mm-hmm.
oppressive in Standard. Black Red Aristocrats with Croxa, so powerful, so
Mm-hmm.
oppressive. That middle text is so relevant in
Yeah,
current Standard.
yeah,
That might change as we move into Ikoria, but I think that text is so wildly good.
yeah.
Not to mention sacrificing, chump tokens to destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. I love this card. I love it. I
It's a
love it. It's
very good
firing
card.
on all cylinders
It's a
for me.
very
My
good
mind
card.
is blown. As a modern humans player, I love humans.
You
It's
do.
great.
Yep.
I'm all about it.
All right, next card. I think that's a very good card too. Genesis Ultimatum. This is the teamer one. Sorcery, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your hand, and then you exile it. So this one you do exile as well. Man, this one's a crapshoot, right? Because sometimes you get none, sometimes you get 4 or 5. I don't know. Actually, if you're playing this card in your deck, you're probably never going to get none, right? Because permanents include lands.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll always be something.
it, like, this might be the only non-permanent card you play in this deck.
I really think that's the case. I think every single one of your cards is a creature, enchantment, planeswalker. Yeah,
So
artifact.
you'll probably get 4 or 5 most of the time. Now, what are those 4 or 5? Who knows? It could be that's where it could be 4 lands, like, or it could be it could be 4 great creatures. It's just this is a wild effect. Here's what I'll say, and they probably picked 5 because it was the best number that they tested with.
Yeah.
But I'm not. If this were 7, I'd be way more excited to play this
Oh
card.
yeah.
At 5, I'm like, yeah, not quite.
At 7, you're guaranteeing 5 permanents. Like.
Yeah, I mean, and something good probably. Your
Oh
chances
yeah.
of something that you really want are huge, right? The chances
Yeah.
that you get Kogla, go way up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've already seen this in lists. That Teamer Fires of Invention deck I was telling you about. When you're playing Cavalier of Thorns, Growth Spiral, Euro Titan, you're doing a lot of ramping. And if you're playing Fires of Invention, you're maybe casting this for free, with all your lands up to activate abilities, cycle dumb turtles, whatever. So I think there's already a deck for this, and it's already very strong. Getting extra Fires of Invention on the battlefield doesn't even hurt.
Scott, we still haven't talked about the best possible scenario where you get Kogla and Colossification.
Game over, son.
Can't you win?
Game
Game over.
It's just, yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, next card. Illuna, Apex of Wishes. This is the Teamer legendary creature with Mutate. It is a 6/6 flying trample for 5. When this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card, and then put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand. Non-land
Yeah.
permanent.
It seems it's got really relevant text on it.
Hmm. Those cards that you exiled do not get shuffled back in.
Is that really a problem?
No. I'm just saying it's a. I think they didn't put that on there because they don't have space.
Ran out of space. Too much text.
Sorry, you just don't get it this time. They're just gone.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Marshall, finish talking about this card without me. BRB.
Okay, Scott's got to go. So here's what I'll say. When you're mutating this, so it can't be a non-land card. So that's good. That's helping you out. You're just getting any permanent. Yeah, I mean that's fine for 1 mana more than what you were already paying to get another permanent. That seems pretty good. Again, I just don't know because it's expensive. This is probably. I would say I like this one better than the first one we talked about, which was the Sultai one. I think I like this one better than that one. So Luna, not the worst of these. I like it better than the Sultai one. Again, these are pretty basic so far. Pretty basic stuff. Next one here, Inspired Ultimatum. I don't know if Scott wants to talk about this one or not. I think this one's pretty interesting. So this is the Jeskai version of the Ultimatum sorcery, just like all the rest. Target player gains 5 life, and then Inspired Ultimatum does 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards. This is insane. We're on Inspired Ultimatum.
Yeah, I've seen people say that this is the worst one, and I've also seen people shot call and say this is by far the most playable one.
This one sounds like the most playable to me. Well, and by that I mean the easiest to imagine in a deck.
Yeah, I'll just say for 7 mana, gaining 5 life is hilariously dumb. You know, like, I get that they added it on there because it's a white card, but like, wowie do I not care. It'll probably be relevant for a control deck, but
oh yeah,
dealing 5 damage to any target, really only slightly strong for 7 mana. But this card will be refilling your hand in the Jeskai control deck. It'll probably be insane every time it's cast.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I like it.
You're going to gain some life. You're going to remove something, and you're going to draw 4 cards. Or 5 cards. Sorry, 5 cards.
Why 4 cards when you can draw 5 cards?
It makes sense. Yeah. So I think this card's insane. To me, it's the best ultimatum so far. I think.
It's definitely, for me, it's the most value one. Everything else is a little bit build around.
It's a build. Yeah, this does not take any build around. This goes, hey, you're going to play a Jeskai control deck, and you're going to slot like 2 of these in, and it's just going to work. Like,
let's say for some crazy reason you're playing a Jeskai tempo deck with creatures, and you feel confident that you can get to 7 mana. It goes in the deck. You know, like, it will be great.
Yeah. Next card. Necropanther, which is a great name for a card, is a
absolutely right.
1 white black for 3/3, or it mutates for 4. Whenever this creature mutates, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. What? That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I specifically like this card in the Kudro decks. No, it's not a human. But for 4 mana, you're mutating it onto something, and you're getting a Kudro back from the graveyard. Or any other relevant human.
Scott, can I ruin your day?
Yeah.
This is terrible in the Kudro deck.
Why is that?
You have to mutate onto a non-human.
Well, still, I've seen human decks that play it that are playing enough non-humans to make it really worth it.
Okay, well, what are they playing?
You're gonna make me pull up.
No, you don't have to pull it. You don't have to pull it up. You don't have to pull it. I don't know. I just like when I hear human deck and then you're trying to play a card for the ability that says put onto a non-human. It doesn't sound, but it could work. It could work.
Yeah, I found an Abzan deck that played this, and it was playing a few non-humans just for really good value cards.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, that just slots on.
Yeah. All right, next card. Nethrio, Apex of Death, is the Abzan legendary creature. It is a 5/5 for 5, so not a 6/6. Doesn't get the full 6/6 for 5, but it has Death Touch and Lifelink. They gave it another ability. Whenever this creature mutates, and it mutates for 7. Whenever this creature mutates, turn any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Wow. This one's insane.
This one is insane. The worst part about it for me is it's really taking up the exact same space as the Abzan Ultimatum. Like, you're not playing these in the same deck, because if you're playing the Abzan Ultimatum that's also 7 mana, you're gonna be taking cards away from this, or this will be taking cards away from it.
Okay, so here's the question. Are you going to play this, or are you going to play Abzan Ultimatum?
I would probably play the creature for Death Touch and Lifelink.
Yeah, because you can just play it for 5. Like a 5/5 for 5 with Death Touch and Lifelink. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm already, I'd play that. Right?
And 10 power, like, that's probably so many cards, you know?
Yeah,
like,
and you could get
so many creatures.
multiples of the same card, which you can't get with Abzan Ultimatum.
You can't get with Absent Ultimatum. So this is my favorite of the legendary mutate creatures.
So far, for sure, I haven't decided what like how I feel with the other ones yet. We'll see. But this is a firm leader at the
Yeah,
moment.
and it is the highest cost. They made it 7 mana because it is a wildly powerful ability.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing to think about all these mutate cards is you have to have another creature already in play. So it may be cheaper, but there's a built-in additional cost, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next card is what is this? Rayleigh? How do you say this name? The Everwise, the red blue human wizard legendary creature.
Yeah, your guess is as good
All
as
right,
mine.
sure. So it's a human
I think
wizard.
she's French, so it's Rie.
Rie. So it's interesting that they have planeswalkers from France, but they they're born in France and they walk around the multiverse. Anyway,
Who are you to say they can't be?
they could, they very well could. I just feel like that's a weird part of the storyline. I was born in France and then I became a planeswalker. Anyway, so they get +1/+0 for each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. Whenever you discard one or more cards for the first time each turn, you draw that many cards. So, Scott, this is your favorite card ever printed in the history of Magic. That's not true, but
that's not true at all.
But so Cathartic Reunion, if this is in play, you play Cathartic Reunion, you discard 2 cards to draw 3. You're actually going to draw 5, right?
Yeah, and that's really it. Like, I don't think that you're putting 3 or 4 of these in any deck. I think that this is going in the red blue spells deck, the Arclight Phoenix deck, just as a draw engine. If you play Cathartic Reunion on this, or Thrill of Possibility, which is already a card that's played in that deck, you're discarding things that you don't want in your hand, and with this, you're turning it into even more draws. I can just see this being, if this isn't answered in the spells deck, it is going to be so explosive. It's frustratingly explosive.
Yeah.
So I think at the very least, this is going to demand a removal spell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, if your opponent has to guess if you have Cathartic Reunion in hand, and if the answer is yes, you're going to be paying 2 mana to draw 5 cards, and I don't think anybody comes back from that.
Probably not. All right, next card. Ruinous Ultimatum. This is the Mardu version, and it destroys all non-land permanents your opponents control. This one's good too. This one you don't have to build around. You just throw it into a Mardu mid-range deck, and you play it and you win. That's probably how this card goes. You play this card on turn 9, and if you have anything on the board, you probably just win.
Why are you playing it on turn 9?
Because you missed a couple land drops.
Oh, okay. I understand, of course. It's not a green deck, you're not really. Anyway, yeah, the Mardu Mythos plus this, Mardu is really the deck that does not care about what your opponent is playing. They're playing cards, you're destroying them. They're playing enchantments, creatures, planeswalkers, they're out of here. By the time you get to 7 mana, everything they own is out of here. So Mardu has some really aggressive stuff. Maybe there's a Mardu humans deck. Maybe it's just Mardu mid-range. But this card is so good. Yeah, probably the best, if not the second best ultimatum.
So this card is interesting. I believe they made a card called like Garrick's something or other back in like M14. That was like a one-sided board wipe, but it cost 9. It was like 7 black. And then they did Dune Blast, which I think was like 5 and then Abzan, or it could have been 4 in Abzan, and it was destroy all creatures except for 1, right?
Yeah.
And now they have Ruinous Ultimatum, which is a strictly one-sided board wipe of all, like, planeswalkers, creatures, everything. This card's really good.
Card is very strong.
This might be better than the Jeskai Ultimatum.
I think it is.
Have we seen all the ultimatums so far? We'll find out.
I think
but
we have.
for me, this is the best one that we've seen so far. And if we've seen all five, it's the best one.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything else we need to say about it, but
Nope. It's insane. Absolutely bonkers.
we do need to say that Nick is in the chat and he is a milestone follower and a top fan.
Yeah. Well, and he thinks that Marshall is an MTG golden child. That other guy is cool too. So
Yeah,
thank you, Nick.
I wasn't gonna say that I was the MTG golden child, but I'll accept it. I'll accept it when you
High
say
praise.
it. I'll accept it. And Scott's cool too, though. All right, next
I'll take
card. Yeah, there you go. Slither Wisp, Slither Wisp, not a Sliver Wisp, but a Slither Wisp. It's a blue, black elemental nightmare with flash that is a 3/2. And whenever you cast another spell that has flash, you draw a card, and each opponent loses 1 life. This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah, this is the reason why you're cutting green in the flash deck.
This is absolutely insane.
Because even though you don't get Frilled Mystic for those extra really spicy counter spells, you're turning your flash spells into cards.
Into cantrips.
Which is so much better.
Yeah.
So I don't know that green is the flash deck anymore. Slither Wisp is so strong.
Do you would we play Omen, the blue Omen, in this deck?
Maybe I could see that.
It has flash.
Why not?
You draw a card and then you scry 2 and you draw another card.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I could see it.
Why would you not?
See it.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, it'd be like you're out of playables and you just need to fill some spells. But yeah, I like it.
All right. Good card. Pretty self-explanatory.
It's not legendary either, so you can stack these puppies and just absolutely ruin someone's day.
Yeah. Snapdax, Apex of the Hunt, the Mardu legendary creature. It is a 3/5 for 4 with double strike. Already really good. But whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, and you gain 4 life. That's the least exciting ability. Well,
yeah.
Other than the Sultai one, which just lets you return it from the graveyard.
I mean, for 5 mana, you're giving a creature double strike. You're, Flame Tongue Kavuing something, and you're gaining life. And because you're mutating it onto a creature, it's going to attack this turn, so that double strike is super relevant. I think it's pretty strong.
Oh, it's strong. It's strong. It's for sure strong. Okay. It's it's not bad.
If your opponent is tapped out and you untap with 5 lands and you mutate this onto any creature, you're having a good time. You're having a good day.
You are. Yeah. All right. Next card. Sprite Dragon. Sprite Dragon. This is a 1/1 for red and a blue flying haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Sprite Dragon. We've seen cards like this before. Have we ever seen... Yeah, we've seen cards like this before, right?
Yeah, I just brought it in because I'll keep harping on the Arclight Phoenix deck, the blue-red spells deck. That deck is already trying to cast at least 3 spells a turn, non-creature spells specifically. And so if you play something like this and it goes unanswered, maybe because they're trying to deal with your Rai or your Goblin Electromancer, something like this is going to be very strong. So I kind of love it. That's a lot of creatures in the Arclight Phoenix deck. But if this goes unanswered, you're going to ruin somebody's day with a dumb little haste dragon. It's so cute. The art is so adorable.
It is nice art. With the purples and the blues and the pinks.
And the little fairy wings.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Anyway, next card is Vadrok, Apex of Thunder. This one only costs 3 mana, so it's just straight Jeskai for a 3/3 flying first strike. That's pretty good. And then you can pay 4, and then to mutate it. When it mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost.
Yeah, I love this card. I'm so disappointed it doesn't have haste. If I could be playing with another Mantis Rider, all my dreams would be coming true. I loved Mantis Rider so much. I'm very sad this isn't Mantis Rider
Scott, this card does have haste.
because it mutates.
Yes.
So it's a Lightning Angel instead of a Mantis Rider.
It's a lightning angel that also lets you cast a 3 mana or less non-creature spell.
No, I mean this card is very good. I guess it's in a like Jeskai tempo deck. You're playing creatures, you're playing burn spells. Definitely doesn't fit into the control deck, you know. And you can play it. I don't know why, but you could just play it in a red white or red blue deck if you're just planning on mutate it, because the white blue is a hybrid mana.
That's true.
But yeah, I like it a lot. It's doing a Mantis Rider impression, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
If I'm not going to play this card, unless it's just the best card in the deck, and the best card in the game, then I will. But I'm not going to play this card because one reason: if the 3 were a 7, I would play it.
I don't know how to, you know. You're asking too much, Marshall.
I just want to be able to cast this for 4, mutate it, and get an ultimatum for free. That's all I wanted.
Get a free ultimatum. You're nuts, Marshall. You're nuts.
All right, next card. We only have 2 cards left. This second to last one, Cunning Nightbonder. This is the only hybrid card we decided was worth mentioning, which is really funny. So this is a blue-black hybrid, so 2 of those pips for a 2/2 flash. Goes right into the blue-black flash deck, and then spells with flash that you cast cost 1 less to cast, and can't be countered. That's solid. That's a very, very solid playable in that archetype. You're going to play it. You're going to play it.
This goes in the green flash deck, and I kind of wish it didn't, because if this was blue-black instead of blue-black hybrid mana, it would be an absolute mirror buster in the blue-black versus blue-green flash mirrors.
But they couldn't commit to it. They said, you both get it.
Yeah, but I love this. I mean, it is still a mirror breaker in the flash deck. If you're playing flash deck versus flash deck, whoever gets this card down first, I think, is just who wins. So.
All right, next or last card is actually not just 1 card. We're going to talk about 5 cards, and it'll be the quickest thing to talk about. Are these tri-lands that are also have cycling? They enter tapped, but they are also each type of land that they tap for. So what we mean by that is they tap for a black, green, or blue. In this case, they're also a swamp, forest, and island, which is similar to Shocklands, if you're familiar with those. So these can be fetched in formats that allow fetch lands. So you could fetch them, they come in tapped, they have to come in tapped, but you can also, if you don't need lands anymore, just cycle them for 3, which in a format like Standard is not crazy.
My question about these, is there any card in Standard that we know about that will fetch these?
I don't believe so.
Because everything I'm thinking of just gets basics or gates.
Yeah, I don't think anything in Standard actually fetches these. But next set would be a prime opportunity to make something that would fetch them.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see fetch lands again, but it would be good if there was something that fetched these. You know,
like
I don't want there to be a 12 of any type of fetch ability in a deck.
What if we had what was that from Ravnica? It was a green sorcery. It was like 2, and it lets you search for a
Farseek?
Farseek, yeah. You get to get mountain, plains, island, or swamp.
Yeah.
Right? Anything but a forest, basically.
Yeah, I'm essentially asking if there's a Farseek equivalent, but
I
I don't
don't
think there
I
is.
don't know of one. It would seem weird. Oh, well now okay, now how about this? How about this? Okay. These let those rare lands come in untapped. The ones that say if you have a swamp, this comes in untapped. Or if you have an
That's a very
island,
good point.
this comes in untapped.
Yeah,
Now the shocklands already did that,
yeah,
but these do it as well.
yeah. And I really think that these are going to be most playable in slow, mid-rangey, control-ish decks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a Sultai slow, Jeskai slow, any kind of slow mid-range deck, I think these are automatically going to go into your deck. Late game, being able to cycle them, very strong. But otherwise, the aggressive decks don't want these cards.
No,
Maybe
absolutely not.
if
Absolutely
they're really frustrated that much on mana, they'll want them. But
not. Yeah. Let's.
you know,
But this is not a fast set. This is a very mid rangey set, from
yeah,
what I see. Like I don't see a whole lot of. It's I mean it's three colors. It's all these powerful mid range, but like they want you to play 7 mana sorceries, you know,
yeah,
and so and they want you to play 6 and 5 mana legendary creatures that are 3 colors. So
yeah.
it's a, it's a slow format, and well, at least they want to build a slow format. But I think that's a lot of fun. Um, I'm excited about the set. That's our last card.
Well, and real quick about these lands, I've seen a lot of people talk about them in Modern, in Legacy, and stuff. Just being able to fetch them and have 3 colors. Yes, it's slow,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of slow Modern decks right now. The Bant Snow decks, just obviously they don't want Bant, but being able a Sultai Snow deck, just being able to go get a Sultai land,
Yeah,
is really strong.
as a
So
one of, you don't even need like. Would you even need more than one?
yeah, probably not.
You might run more than one, but you most likely just go. I got one. That's good
Yeah.
enough. You
And
know?
real quick, now that I think about it, back in like the Abzan, Siege Rhino days, the Abzan deck was playing a couple tri-lands.
Yeah.
So these will be playable in the
Oh yeah.
aggro decks. They won't love it, but they'll be necessary.
And like Abzan wasn't even like there was a more aggressive version of Abzan, but it was really just like a fast mid range deck.
Yeah, really big chunky stuff. But I played the mess out of the Abzan aggro deck. That
Yeah.
was one of my favorite standard decks of all time.
It was that was a good standard. And
Yeah.
this set to me reminds me a lot of Khans of Tarkir.
Very much, yeah. Real
Yeah.
quick, cool story. During that Abzan period, Andrew Boswell was kind of the guy who was the known archetypal creator of the Abzan aggro deck, or at least he was the pioneer of really shifting it into the mainstream. And I got to play him at a GP during that standard. It was limited, so he wasn't playing Abzan aggro deck, but I loved being able to talk to him and just be like, dude, tell me why you did this with the Abzan aggro deck. Thank you so much for building this deck. You're a genius. I love you. It was a fanboy moment. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And then one time when I met Marshall Sutcliffe, I told him I cast a Chromanticore on a Chromanticore. I don't know if he believed me, but it's really true. It really
It's true.
It's
true.
Not in constructed. That was in limited.
Limited. That is a limited play that will go down in infamy. How did that happen?
I didn't. Neither of them were a first pick. They were both passed to me.
Oh yeah. Of course they were. It's Chromanticore.
You're like, if you either are all in or you just it's garbage. You're like, nah. I'm not. I was all in. Anyway, that's it for this broadcast today. Thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for watching this. If you're not watching it live, thank you so much for watching it later. I'll be on later this week doing a stream, and me and Scott talked about the idea of doing a top 10 list of cards for this set later this week. So look for that. Scott, you want to do that? You still want to do that?
Yeah, I think I'm down.
All right, cool. We'll do that later this week. Look for that. That will be way shorter than this video is. So thanks for sticking around.